At the time of recording this video, 8 Pokemon have had brand new Mega Evolutions officially revealed to be added to the franchise in Legend ZA. And at the time of this video's release, we should probably already be running around Lumio City with those new Megas for ourselves. But it got me thinking, why these Pokemon in particular? I mean, Kalos starters only make sense, they're long overdue, but Victreebel? Hawlucha? Malamar? And hell, who knows how many more have been revealed in the time it took me to actually finish this challenge. If Game Freak themselves decide that these Pokemon deserve a whopping 100 stat point increase, does that mean they think that they are bad? Would it be too much of a stretch to say that of all the Pokemon that exist without Megas, Game Freak thinks that these are the worst? Yeah, it probably would be. But today I am setting out to prove the worth of these Pokemon before their Megas are officially released by using them and only them to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke. And while their Megas may be locked to Lumio City, we'll be taking their base forms on a grand tour of the entire Kalos region. Pokemon X and Y are not generally difficult games, but today we're changing that by tackling Pokemon X Rebirth, a ROM hack of Pokemon X with just a slight difficulty increase, meant to really put our team of misfits to the test. If you are unfamiliar with Rebirth, there are links down below for you to check out the game and documentation for yourself. I won't be going super in-depth with the changes here, as this is a bit of a shorter rapid-fire video that doesn't really warrant it, but you can definitely follow along if you'd like using those. Not only that, but we're of course limiting ourselves to only these 6 total encounters and, obviously, absolutely no Mega Evolutions. With all of that in mind, I'm hoping we can still prove that these Pokemon, deserving as they are to finally be recognized by the Pokemon Company as needing some love, are still plenty capable in their own right to take down one of Pokemon's most infamous challenges. So without further ado, let's run with it. All 3 Kalos starters are getting brand new Mega Evolutions in the upcoming Legend ZA, and quite frankly, I don't know why they didn't have them already. While there are technically 8 Pokemon on our list to choose from for this challenge, our very first decision of the game cuts out 2 of them immediately, as we can obviously only take 1 starter. While the Malamar that we'll get later does share a typing with both Greninja and Delphox, we'll also be able to pick up both a Grass and a Fighting type later, so Chestnut is twice as redundant as the other 2. Unfortunately, there's no way to avoid a duplicate typing here, but it is what it is. We start our run with Bruce the Froakie. And we won't have to wait long for our second encounter, thank goodness, as just ahead in Santaloon Forest, we can catch Grayson the Pikachu. Now, this is as good a time as any to mention Super Training, the feature that we all know and love from the Generation 6 games that allows you to EV train your Pokemon whenever and however you want. You can give them whatever stats, then reset them to give them completely different stats between battles as needed, and it's just one of the best things introduced in a Pokemon game ever. Super easy, love it, love this feature. Wish it wasn't quite as repetitive and monotonous as it is, but with modern technology, we're skipping that part anyway, so who cares? What is less commonly talked about though is the fact that Super Training can also let you score items, including something like, Thunderstone? So we could technically evolve our Pikachu right now before the first gym, but if we do that, we're stuck with a pretty god-awful moveset until we get our hands on some TMs. Plus, let's be honest, it's not like we really have to, you know? The first gym leader destined to face our wrath is Viola, who has the unfortunate role of Bug-type user. Equally unfortunately, she also has a glaring electric weakness across her 3 Pokemon, which, even with just Thundershock, Grayson can easily exploit. It comes down to the wire though, in part thanks to Viola doing everything she can to keep her stupid ladybug alive, but with just 4 HP remaining, Grayson still manages to take home both the gold and our first gym badge. We are then tasked with defeating Professor Sycamore in his lab. The 1 water type and 1 electric type that make up our team have, on paper, a pretty difficult matchup against his lead Bulbasaur. Or they would if we weren't just gifted with the absolutely busted move Return. And if my level cap wasn't so astronomically high that we can just massively overlevel Grayson, which allows him to one-shot the professor's entire team of Kanto starters. We make our way through Route 5, which lands us with a Frogadier evolution, very cool, and then dash through Connecting Cave to come out the other side onto Route 8. Yeah, that's how counting works. It is here that we can find our next encounter, Jason the Inkay. Gotta admit, was a little worried about this run having so few encounters, but look at us now. Not even at the second gym and already have half of our team. Speaking of that second gym though, Grant in this reality is a good bit tougher than you might expect. His lead Dwebble, yes, Dwebble, has a difficult matchup in a Bruce though. The plan is to just spam Water Pulse, which activates its sturdy ability and forces Grant to heal and waste all of his potions. The second he runs out, the poor insect falls. This means the leader's remaining 2 Pokemon, the infamous Fossils, won't have the Hyper Potion support that they otherwise would. And that's pretty damn necessary because the incoming Tyrant is a real problem for our team. mostly due to it having Thunder Fang, but at least that makes Grayson an easy switch-in. We can paralyze the dino with Nuzzle, then swap out to Jason and set up a Reflect. Reflect and Paralysis in combination give us plenty of support for Jason's foul play to take advantage of Tyrant's massive attack stat and eventually take it out for good. Unfortunately, my favorite of the two Kalos Falsos, Amora, just doesn't hold a candle to the kind of power that Tyrant threatened us with, and it falls rather unceremoniously to Bruce's Water Pulse. Now we get to progress north on the Route 10 and catch our next encounter, wow, another one already, Stephanie the Halucha, who I learned from Nuzzle attempts has Limber, not Unburden. The eagle-eyed among you may have also already noticed in our last battle that poor Jason also has the worst of his two abilities, being stuck with Suction Cups instead of Contrary. This was not intentional, and honestly I probably should have reset for a Contrary Inkay, but you know what? Fuck it. Not only are we using the Pokemon that Game Freak deems necessary of a Mega buff, but we're also using the worst versions of them. No Unburden, no Contrary, no Protean. That's right, 2 steps into the challenge and I'm already making it even harder on myself. I can do that, Diamond Charge. The good news is, in Shallower City, we won't have to stress too much anyway. Our level cap gives us access to Jason, but upside down, and Grayson also learns Thunderbolt, so we finally pull the plug on his mascot status and evolve him into my favorite version of not Pikachu, Raichu. Though really it's upside down Jason who's the star of the show in our match against our rival Serena, taking down all 3 of her measly companions in rapid succession. Of course, all this evolution BS aside, we know the fighting gym is coming up, so it's the one and only Stephanie who takes center stage. Flying Press is a strong flying and fighting type attack, and it gives us strong super effective stab damage for all of poor Karina's team. We take down Mienfoo with a single move, opting to skip Sword Stance for now in case of an incoming Rock Tomb. Then against Karina's own Halucha, we set up the Sword Stance to our heart's content, and a massive +2 boosted Flying Press wins out the match by taking down both Halucha and Hariyama, one right after the other. We are granted access to the Mega Bracelet shortly after, but as we're here to make a point and take a stand against Mega Evolutions for the Pokemon on our team, we will not be touching the mechanic. However, I may have left out one other tiny detail related to this. We're not just playing Pokemon X Rebirth, no. We're playing the Mega version. As in, now that we have access to Mega Evolutions, technically, every other upcoming major battle will as well. Okay, but not the rival fights. At least not yet. Serena is waiting for a rematch before the next gym, and yeah, Malamar is just kind of a clean answer for her still. Reflect and Light Screen combo with powerful paybacks and returns. Okay, actually Jason only takes out Meowstic this time and barely scrapes up the kill against Quilladin. But Stephanie can come in on Absol and take it out with Flying Press, and then Grayson can come out against Vaporeon to show off his newly fully evolved form, and a massive critical hit Thunderbolt saves the day. As I was saying, every major battle, like the upcoming gym leader fight against Ramos, will feature a Mega Evolution. And, think the big man upstairs, more than 3 Pokemon for us to face off against. The Grass-type leader's Jump Bluff can't do much of anything after Jason sets up a Reflect, and we swap out to Grayson to capitalize on his sheer power, taking down the Puffball with just a few Thunderbolts. When Go-Goat comes in next, we paralyze it with Nuzzle before switching out to Stephanie, who can shine in her element once more. And they really said Halucha needed a Mega. I mean, he did, but like, come on. Anyway, we have ample time to set up 2 Sword Stances, ignore the Leech Seed damage, and now have a super effective +4 attack, 100% accurate Poison Jab coming this poor goat's way. The following Trevenant does only take neutral damage, but Poison Jab still kills, so who cares? And then we see it. Mega Venusaur. Ramos' last Pokemon and very weak to fly. Venusaur cannot land a single attack before it's taken down by ours, meaning we've not only collected half our badges already, but officially taken down our first Mega opponent without using any for ourselves. Guess we're just built different, you know? Or Sword Stance is overpowered, but definitely one of the two. Sadly, we will not get to test out that theory just yet, as before the next gym we have to face off against Team Flare, if you can even call it anything like that. In fact, we're fighting more against our level cap of 38 than we are against the nothing grunts that are blocking our way. But even still, we managed to make it to the back of the power plant without any trouble. As unremarkable as this evil team is as a whole, the admins at least also got some team overhauls in this reality of Kalos. Aliana starts off the battle with Mightyena against our Raichu, but Intimidate does not affect our ability to 2-shot the dog, hyena, wolf thing with Thunderbolt. Droidigan is a bit scarier, but we still have options in the back to deal with it, namely Stephanie, who takes it down with Just Fly. Golbat is the admin's last Pokemon, so we swap out to Bruce to finish out the fight. doing our damnedest to keep under the level cap, but with Stephanie still going over by 1. Fortunately, that was the last fight we really needed our bird to be present for anyway, as with the power plant cleared, electricity has returned to Lumio City and we are welcome to challenge the next gym. But the leader himself is blocked off by a series of gym trainers that we are forced to fight, even if we get the game show questions right, which seems a little bogus, but whatever. Fortunately, Grayson and Bruce have just enough of an experience gap to fight our way through the trainers and still stay within our cap. Now it is time for our 4th badge. Clement leads off with Dedenne against our Raichu, who we have helpfully taught the move Dig. It barely misses out the one shot, but it's not like the little Pikachu wannabe can even lift a finger against his big brother. It falls on the next turn. Interestingly, this brings Heliolisk out next, who is outsped and does actually fall in a single attack, so yeah, not a great showing for my favorite electric type. Magneton is 4 times weak to ground, but does also have Sturdy, so we break the Sturdy first with Thunderbolt and then grab the KO on the next turn. But now it's time for what we've all been waiting for. Clement ends the fight with his Mega Evolving Manectric. It intimidates us, lowering our attack, so we break out Grayson's second secret weapon, Confide. This will lower the Rabid Canine's massive special attack stat, forcing it to use the much less powerful Fire Fang. Jason comes in, sets up Light Screen and Reflect because there's no real reason not to, and then we swap back out to Grayson. This removes his attack drop from earlier, and a Dig here, and a Dig there, and Manectric falls. Another gym is defeated, another Mega is defeated, and another badge is obtained. The game allows us to continue on to Route 14, where I'm jump scared by a rival fight, but it goes about the same as every other time. What is actually interesting here is we get access to another encounter, and weirdly we find the Horde of Bellsprout before the single wild Weepinbell, but I'm not complaining. Or at least I wasn't until Grayson got trapped by Rap and was poisoned and almost died, but you know, occupational hazard in our line of work, he's fine. Tim the Bellsprout quickly evolves all the way into a Victreebel and gives us our 5th team member. Just in time for us to challenge the next gym, though that doesn't necessarily mean that he'll be seeing the battlefield. Berry leader Valerie leads off with a Mr. Mime against our trusty Rat. See, told you it was fine. And we get off a Nuzzle while the Mime expectedly begins setting up his invisible walls. We take the opportunity to confide in the creature, lowering its special attack to an absolute minimum. Then we swap out to Jason, who takes the turn to set up his own screens, and with all of our setup work done, finally bring in Stephanie. She no longer fears the super effective attacks that Mr. Mime might throw at her, and easily shrugs off the one psychic that does land between bouts of being fully paralyzed to set herself up to +6 attack. Once again, the little luchador that could fires off strong super effective attacks, this time utilizing Poison Jab against all the regular fairies, then showing off her own digging technique to take out the steel type Mega Mawile. These gym leaders may have their fancy upgraded teams and mega evolutions, but it's no match for good old-fashioned strategy. Team Flare is causing a ruckus at the Pokeball factory, and we're forced to take care of that, but honestly, the double battle boss fight at the end doesn't really leave a lot to talk about, though I will briefly anyway. Stephanie baits Manectric's Thunderbolt, but digs out of the way just in time, and then KOs it on the next turn while Serena's Meowstic falls to Liepard. Now with Golbat coming in, either of our fighting types are easy targets for the flying moves on the other side, so we swap Stephanie out for Grayson, who tanks both attacks easily. Chestnut takes down Liepard and the following Bisharp, while Grayson KOs Golbat, and Golbat again. Drapion is the last mon standing, so we bring out Tim, who can knock off the Scorpion Citrus Berry and picks up the KO for himself with Venoshock. And now that grants us access to Dendemil Town. A little nothing place maybe, but it does give us access to both the Move Deleter and the Move Reminder. A godsend for real, since most of our team, especially Stephanie, has had to deal with complete moveset overhauls for each major battle, such as removing Flying Press for Dig during the Fairy Gym. Now we can regain some of the options we lost along the way to be better prepared for future fights. Which is good because we aren't quite done with Team Flare yet, I guess, as they're just ahead causing trouble in the ice caves. Pretty sure this bitch becomes a professor in the next game, which is super weird to me because she's literally using this Abomasnow for power right now, but whatever. Anyway, Mabel's Houndoom doesn't stand a chance against Bruce and it falls in just a single Surf. Then we switch in Stephanie on an X-Scissor from Weavile, survive the next turn from a critical hit Ice Shard, goddamn, and KO with our Relearn Flying Press. Since the poor Team Flare scientists, admin guys, whatever, still only have 3 Pokemon even in this reality, Golbat is all that is left, and it obviously falls pretty quickly to Grayson's Thunderbolt. But the rapid fire battles don't stop there. After cruising through the snow on top of my favorite Mammoth buddy, we end up in Anastar and are immediately challenged by Serena once more. This time not a jump scare, and we're more than prepared to take her on. As usual, Jason can lead the charge, set up the screens, and can now hit super effectively with Night Slash to quickly take out the annoying cat. Speaking of annoying cats, Vaporeon immediately lands a critical hit Muddy Water, which forces us to switch out, but at least we can make up some of that luck when a second Muddy Water misses Grayson entirely. Then we grab the easy 2-hit KO. Chestnut is bodied 10 Ways to Sunday by Tim, good job Tim, and Absol doesn't really do anything. I just haven't seen it do anything in these fights, you know? With Serena's hopes and dreams crushed once more, we walk into the gym and challenge the next leader for our 7th badge. Olympia talks weird, but she battles even weirder. Her lead Sigilif falls to a single Thunderbolt, and next comes in Slowking, who falls to 2 Thunderbolts. I know, crazy, right? And then Meowstick, another one, geez, still gets completely bodied by Jason. I mean, do these trainers not have any unique ideas? Seriously. Oh, there's one, Mega Medicham. Okay, hits like a truck, that I assure you. But that's why Jason is here, to at least put up a flimsy protective barrier between us and that truck. The good news for us is that Medicham only really has 2 attacks it wants to go for here, and that's either Fake Out if it doesn't see a knockout, or Stab Drain Punch if it does. It can't use Zen Headbutt since we're a Dark type, and non-stab Ice Punch through Reflect does not see a knockout, even with only having 60 health remaining. All that is to say, we have an easy switch out to Stephanie, who takes nothing more than a Fake Out, and then the next turn can clap back with a super effective Fly for a 1-hit KO. No dancing with swords required. With 7 badges in our possession, it is now time for the world to end. At least according to big-haired Lysander over there. But that just doesn't fit into my schedule, as I really have to finish this game before ZA releases, so like, can I pencil the apocalypse in for, I don't know, 2 weeks from now, give or take? We have to infiltrate Team Flare's secret base, and inside we find Mr. Big Hair himself already primed to fight. We'll be having a lot of battles against him coming up here, and his team only changes slightly every time, so let's try and make this first instance quick. His lead Mienshao is facing off against Tim, who isn't threatened by much of what the Weasel can do, but we do have a hard time landing our poison powder. For the record, I am fully aware I could have and should have already picked up the TM for Toxic at this point, I just didn't. And that's in part because I never thought about it since I'm not currently in it for the damage. I just wanted our Venoshock to double in power. And that alone is enough here to take down Lysander's first Pokemon. Bruce can take down Pyroar with a single Surf, and Gyarados gets stuck trying to Dragon Dance after we set up Jason's Reflect, giving us ample time to take it out. Once Skarmory gets struck down by lightning, we are finally free to move on. And that moving on takes us through my least favorite kind of puzzle, the ones that they always put in these goddamn evil team bases, stupid spinning tiles. And we're forced to take down each one of these scientist admins in the process. None of them pose any much of a real threat though, and to be quite honest with you, I don't even know if they're all actually mandatory to fight. I mean, only one of them ends up giving you a key anyway, you know? Whatever, bunch of time filler evil team bullshit just to pad out our adventure runtime and yada yada. I don't even have anything colorful to put here for commentary while it's all playing out, so hey you! Subscribe! Yeah, that'll convince them. Good job, me. Oh, but we do get to face Sarazik for the first time. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but that's what I'm going with, so he's not that much more difficult than the others, but hey, at least he's new. And we have to talk about at least one of the other battles in here, come on. Zarazik's Crobat is up against Grayson, who is not here to knock it out, but just paralyze it with Nuzzle. That means we can swap out to Stephanie on a Cross Poison, dodge an Air Slash while using Fly, and landing that is more than enough to take out the bat. This is done specifically to bait out Zarazik Magneton, which we can bring in Jason on to set up both screens, and then back out to Grayson, who immediately gets confused, so we just have to repeat that. Whoops. We also land a Night Slash now instead of later to break Sturdy, just in case Magneton wants to try and confuse us again, but it doesn't. Eventually, point is, spam Confide until the Magnet has no special attack left to speak of, then bring Jason back out again to set up a light screen once more, and then finally bring back out Stephanie to set up a couple of Swords Dances, get use out of Limber to avoid paralysis, and get confused. So we bring in Jason and set screens back up and swap back to Stephanie, Swords Dance again. Man, this sure is something. Eventually though, we do get our boost in hand, land the dig and get the KO, then sweep through both Banette and Malamar in succession. Whew! Overly complicated perhaps, but Zarazik Malamar has the good ability, Contrary, and it has Superpower, the 120 base power move that, you know, usually lowers your attack and defense, but, you know, not with Contrary. God, I wish that were me. Letting that thing have any kind of free reign is a mistake, and so we had to find an opening elsewhere to set up and make sure that that didn't happen. Oh, but silly me. While I'm babbling about nerd shit, Zarazik has activated the ultimate weapon of Death and Destruction. Awesome. This calls for a change of scenery as we confront Lysander once again for battle number 2. Mienshao will never escape these status conditions as Grayson paralyzes it while taking a high jump kick handily, and we get a lucky full para as we bring in Jason to set up Reflect, and then we break out another secret weapon for the first time. If we are stuck with Suction Cup's Malamar, then god damn it, we are going to abuse the heck out of our one setup move that the squid does get access to, and that is Calm Mind. As we sit in front of Lysander's Weasel, we are playing with fire just a wee bit. You see, Mienshao does have U-turn, but it's very unlikely to use it due to a quirk that we've already been abusing in this run. And that is the fact that the AI in this game just does not like to switch out at all. And that unwillingness to swap extends even into switching moves like Volt Switch or U-Turn. It isn't impossible, it's just unlikely. And to be frank with you, even if it does land, it isn't going to do much to us anyway thanks to it being non-stab and hitting into reflect and our level advantage over it. Not to mention the fact that it has to hit through paralysis as well. We spend every turn we can setting up our calm minds, taking in acrobatics, and eventually a U-turn in the process. When Lysander brings in Gyarados for reasons unknown, we put up a reflect first instead of just taking it out right away. I glossed over it before, but the AI will want to use a stat raising move if it knows it'll put its stats above ours. For example, Gyarados comes in and doesn't see a kill right away, but it does see that Dragon Dance will put its attack at +1, which will be higher than our defense at +0. However, if we set up a Reflect on the same turn, effectively giving us a +2 defense boost, well, now Gyarados knows it will have to Dragon Dance 2 more times, just to again have a higher attack at +3 than our defense at +2. Does that all make sense? Anyway, it really just means we can freely set up Reflect, force the snake to dance again, and we take it out the next turn with Thunderbolt. Now sitting behind a fresh Reflect and a +4 special attack and special defense boost, we freely sweep through Lysander's Mienshao, Pyroar, and Skarmory. There's a lot of little battles as we force our way down into the depths of the Team Flare headquarters, but they're mostly nonsense grunts and admins. Oh, and a funky looking deer thing? Xerneas wakes up from the Tree of Life, and unfortunately this is one of those legendaries that you're just kind of forced to catch for story reasons. He obviously does not fit our criteria as an encounter because he does not have a revealed Mega, which, let's be real, he probably should. But I know that would upset VGC players. For the record, I'm very okay with upsetting VGC players. Give Xerneas a Mega. And then who should crash our party? None other than Revenge of the Flare himself, the guy we just fought 30 seconds ago, not even. Lysander makes a three-peat performance, this time decked out in whatever that is. With Xerneas being a forced capture and being immediately added to the party, I didn't expect that to be an issue as I would just never bring him out. However, the game also apparently forces you to start the next battle with him. Great. So we leave our deer in to die, kind of ironic since he's the being of life, but I digress, and then can finally start our match for real. Grayson is back out in front, paralyzing Mienshao and then swapping out, this time to Stephanie. Stephanie has been inching close to our level cap of 60, so we've been pretty picky about where and when to use her, but since this is the last real fight before we increase that, it's the best time to bring her back out into the limelight. Another fun change in this fight is that, since Gyarados is a Mega Evolution in this match, it will always come out last. So we don't have to worry about it ruining our mini sweep, as with one Sword Stance boost, Fly will take out Mienshao, Dig will knock out the new Dragalge, and then Pyroar back to back. And then finally, this brings out Skarmory once again. Raichu resists all of its moves and can nuzzle the bird before swapping out to Jason. It's much safer to set up against Skarmory, avoiding potential burns or poisons or Mienshao switching out, so we are fully abusing the fact that Skarmory has to come out before Gyarados, which will buy us enough turns to set up. 6 Calm Mind boosts later, and not only does that take down Skarmory, but Lysander's Ace comes back in and Mega Evolves to lose the Quad Electric weakness, but it just is not enough because +6 Thunderbolt will take it out anyway. With Lysander, Team Flare, and the ultimate death weapon defeated and destroyed, finally we can return to our original goal. Defeat the Kalos League with this team of Pokemon that Game Freak themselves have deemed to be inadequate. And our next stop along that journey is to take on the 8th and final gym leader, Wulfric. But before we can reach him, we're stopped by a mini gauntlet of rival fights. Shauna demands a battle, but her Focus Sash holding Delcatty just can't do anything against Tim. Delphox falls to Bruce's Surf, and Tim comes back into Poison Sylveon, which makes Jason's Calm Mind strategy that much more effective in taking it down. Goodra may be resistant to Thunderbolt, but since it can't really hit us either, we do eventually win that war of attrition and take down the first of 3 rival fights, the second of which happens right now, without even a chance to heal. We swap Grayson in on Talonflame to outspeed it and take it out with Thunderbolt, then Roserade and Crawdaunt both fall to Stephanie. Trevor at least has the decency to heal our team before our battle against him, but with Raichu and Aerodactyl both falling to Leaf Blade and Floor just being weak to Venoshock, the 3 battles are definitely tougher than they are in vanilla, but still seem to be easier as they go. Oh well. Where was I? Right, Wulfric. Did you know Malamar also learns Flamethrower? Like Thunderbolt I can understand, I suppose, Bioluminescence and all that, but Flamethrower? Free Calm Mind boost against a Cloyster that only wants to set up Hazard should net us an easy sweep. Until it's cut short by Mamoswine's critical hit Earthquake, that is. Uh-oh. We pivot the plan, bring in Stephanie for free, and take down the Mammoth with Brick Break, then score a second KO against Weavile, who tries to eat a Chople Berry, but that certainly isn't saving it. Bruce swaps into Avalugg and 2-shots it with Surf, and finally Stephanie can take down the final Mega Abomasnow. I will say though, it is awesome to be fighting a gym leader in this game that has a team of 5 Pokemon and a Mega? Good for him, man. God, if nothing else, this ROM hack has really proven to me that Kalos deserved better. There is only one major fight before the team of Game Freak's newly Mega Misfits can take on the Elite Four. But before that, we need to finally round off our team with our strongest encounter yet, taking 20 fucking minutes to fish up Damien the Dratini and evolve her all the way into a Dragonite. It has taken literally all game to get our 6 encounters, but I think reaching this point with just the 5 that we did proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that these Pokemon, they're fine. Even if they can't beat the Pokemon League, they sure as hell can put up a great showing against all the gym leaders and ne'er-do-wells of the world, but now they may just have that final boost in power that they need to take it all the way. Serena is blocking our path through Victory Road, now equipped with 5 Pokemon and a Mega Stone herself, and I guess it's only fair that we defeat all the rivals, right? Except she, unfortunately still leads off with Meowstic, which gives Jason free reign to set up all his Calm Mind boosts and a Reflect and just kinda run away with the match. Poor Serena. Seriously, I do actually feel bad for her character in this game. But that is a discussion for another day. Today we are only concerned with one thing: gathering the last remaining TMs and items we might need before walking straight into the Lion's Den. Welcome to the Kalos Pokemon League. In this alternate reality, each league member has a team of 5 Pokemon and, yes, Mega Evolutions of their very own. Awesome. Let's break down the fights as we go, shall we? While we can take on the league in any order, as far as I know from my strategy, it shouldn't really matter which one we battle first. So we're just gonna be basic and go left to right, and that means our first opponent is the Steel-type user Wickstrom. His Eviolite-wielding Doublade just does not have enough defense to take a stab expert belt boosted Dark Pulse from Bruce, and that KO brings in Ferrothorn next. Ferrothorn does have the powerful move Power Whip, and it also comes equipped with Thunder Wave, so we make great use of Stephanie's typing and limber ability to buy ourselves plenty of time to set up Swords Dance, and have just enough HP to survive the Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet damage we take from our Brick Break KO. Bisharp comes in next, but it does not have Sucker Punch for some reason, so it simply falls as well. Aegislash is baited into seeing a KO thanks to our health being as low as it is, so we don't even have to think twice about playing around King's Shield, as Dig grants Stephanie her 3rd knockout in a row. Also, like Bisharp not having Sucker Punch, Aegislash doesn't have Shadow Sneak. I don't know why. Who does have priority though is Mega Caesar, who is forced out last. We swap to Grayson to take the resisted hit, and without even needing to nuzzle, Static pulls off the proc of a lifetime and paralyzes the terrifying insect. This grants us an early switch to Damien, who can easily take a resisted Bug Bite and then outspeed the next turn for a Flamethrower KO. Malva is the next member, but she isn't quite as exciting. Greninja is a really strong Pokemon. Did you guys know that? Did you also know that holding an expert belt allows him to just knock out every one of her fire types without taking a single point of damage? Well, you do now. On paper, Drosna seems like the most difficult member of the league, but since her lead Dragalge has toxic spikes on its moveset, as long as we aren't baiting a KO or super effective damage, it should want to prioritize that because, say it with me now, AI love their status moves. We have 2 free turns with Stephanie to set up a double Swords Dance, then our itemless Acrobatics takes down Dragalge, Noivern, and Flygon in rapid succession. Haxorus is a bit scary though, with a Focus Sash and Dragon Dance, but since it doesn't see a KO, it does want to dance in front of us, which will make it faster, but as we land a hit and use up the Sash, Drosna is forced to full restore in the next turn, which gives us a free hit to take it down right after. Ampharos is Electric type. A +4 dig does one-shot it. Last but not least, we are up against water user Seabold, leading the match with his Clawitzer, who sets up the rain as we finally bring out Damien to get her time in the sun. Or, rain clouds, whatever. We grab a couple of Dragon Dance boosts, 3 to be exact, then Dragon Claw can KO the Lobster, then Tentacruel, and even outspeed Kingdra's Swift Swim at +3, believe it or not, to grab that KO as well. Barbaracle suffers from the same design flaw as Haxorus before it, surviving with a Focus Sash to Shell Smash and outspeed the next turn, but with its trainer choosing to heal instead of attack, ironically that only leads to its demise. Last out comes Blastoise, which has both Mega Launcher and Ice Beam. We are forced to stop our sweep and swap out to Bruce, who in turn baits Aura Sphere, giving us a safe switch out to Tim. Finally equipped with my favorite Protect and Toxic combo, we get off the status before bringing in Jason, who, as we all know, has a very calm mind when it comes to these situations. But sadly in this specific instance, he does get somewhat confused, but nothing a little more pivoting can't fix. Although because of the small blunder, Seabold is given the chance to heal the poisoning and put us back at square one. Though we can capitalize on that opportunity as well to give Damien a free turn to get off a chunk of damage with Dragon Claw. In fact, it's just enough damage that our safe switch out to Bruce can simply grant us the KO right here and now with a super effective Grass Knot. With all 4 members of the Kalos Pokemon League left behind in a cloud of dust, we are finally allowed to take on the region champion. The one that Game Freak themselves decided was actually the best in the region, with our completely deathless team of Pokemon that, in my opinion, don't even need the Megas that they are getting. Smart strategizing can make anything work, even Suction Cups Malamar. Not that I'm complaining, Game Freak, please. I think every Pokemon should get a Mega, okay? Thank you. Diantha leads off with Klefki, the game and designer, learning nothing from their previous mistakes, giving me far too many turns to set up with our bird that just cannot be paralyzed. And as we've all come to expect from her at this point, when you give Stephanie enough prep time, she can take down any Pokemon. Diantha leads us now into the Hall of Fame, where a deathless Nuzlocke victory with just these 6 Pokemon can be commemorated forever. Player defeated, Pokemon X Rebirth. Alright, you're probably curious about the AZ fight, aren't you? With 5 Pokemon himself, this fight could get a little scary, and technically the credits haven't rolled yet, so I guess we could still lose the challenge here? Fortunately, this is the last actual fight, so we can play a bit more recklessly, and we do. Bruce takes out Torkoal and does a sizable chunk to Iga Slash before we let him fall to a sword that does actually have Shadow Sneak. Grayson comes in after him, though, to get the follow-up KO. We bring in Tim against Golurk, but take a lot of damage from Earthquake, so we decide to hit hard in turn and then let our pitcher plant fall. Stephanie appreciates the free swap, and Golurk goes down effortlessly. This brings in Sigilif, granting us another free swap, this time to Jason, who does Jason things, calms his mind, sets up Reflect, and thunderbolts the bird thing out of the sky. AZ's final Pokemon is in fact a Mega, but his is Aggron. Steel is an unfortunate type to be against a boosted Flamethrower, and the fight is won. AZ is reunited with his long-lost Pokemon just in time for ZA, and that officially concludes the last ever Nuzlocke in Kalos, before we're all taking our first steps back in Lumiose City together. Woohoo! Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. By the time this video goes up, ZA should already be released, or at least pretty close to it, and I'm probably playing it myself as I speak, so hey, if you're playing, let me know how it's going down in the comments, or join me over in Discord to discuss the game over there. I cannot wait to make content out of it, so please help me come up with some cool ideas. But until then, we're all out of time for this video, so I will just have to catch y'all in the next run. See ya.